Look, I need you to be honest with me for a second. How many times have you told yourself this is the year I'm finally going to save money, only to check your bank account 3 months later and realize you've somehow saved nothing? Or worse, you're further in the hole than when you started? Yeah, I see you nodding. And here's the thing that's even more frustrating. You probably tried one of those savings challenges you saw on Pinterest or TikTok. You know the ones. The 52-week money challenge where you save a dollar the first week, $2 the second week, $3 the third week, and by week 52, you're supposed to magically have $1,370 saved up. Except you quit by week 7, didn't you? My name is John, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people continue to make the same predictable mistakes with their money. If you're someone who genuinely wants to save but keeps falling off these challenges right when they start getting difficult, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today I'm going to show you exactly why the traditional 52-week challenge is psychologically designed to make you fail. And more importantly, how to modify it so you'll actually finish it. So let's talk about the original 52-week money challenge. On paper, it sounds brilliant, right? You start small, just $1 in week 1. That's nothing. Anyone can save a dollar, then $2, then 3. It's gradual. It's supposed to build the habit slowly. And that's exactly where the problem is. Here's what most people don't realize. The traditional 52-week challenge is backwards. Like completely, fundamentally backwards. And I can prove it to you with some pretty shocking data. A study from the Journal of Consumer Research found that 80%, 80%, of people who start behavioral change challenges quit within the first 8 weeks. But here's where it gets really interesting. When researchers looked specifically at financial challenges that increase in difficulty over time, the failure rate jumps to 92% by week 12. Think about what's happening in the traditional challenge. In week 1, you're saving $1. Easy. Week 5, $5. Still manageable. Week 10, $10. Okay, you're feeling it, but you're committed. But then December hits. December. The most expensive month of the year. The month where you've got holiday shopping, year-end bills, maybe travel expenses, family gatherings, parties, gifts for your kids' teachers, your office Secret Santa. And that's when the 52-week challenge asks you to save $49 in 1 week, then $50, then $51, then $52. In the last 4 weeks alone, you're supposed to save $200. That's more than you saved in the entire first 15 weeks combined. What kind of sadistic financial advice is that? Look, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but this is financial self-sabotage disguised as a helpful challenge. You're literally setting yourself up to fail at the exact moment when your willpower is lowest and your expenses are highest. Now you might be thinking, but John, isn't the point that you build up to it? That you develop the discipline over time? And that's what everyone thinks. That's the assumption behind the entire challenge. But it's wrong. It's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how human psychology actually works. See, here's the thing about building habits, and there's decades of research on this from behavioral economists like Dan Ariely and psychologists like BJ Fogg. Sustainable behavior change doesn't come from gradually increasing difficulty. It comes from early wins that build momentum and confidence. There's this concept called self-efficacy that was developed by psychologist Albert Bandura back in the 1970s. Basically, it's your belief in your own ability to succeed at a specific task. And self-efficacy isn't built through struggle, it's built through repeated success. When you start the traditional 52-week challenge, sure, the first few weeks feel easy, but you're not really building confidence because you know, consciously or unconsciously, that the hard part is coming. You're walking into December knowing you need to save 200 plus in a single month, and your brain is already going, yeah, that's not going to happen. So even when you're succeeding in January, February, March, you're not building true self-efficacy. You're just delaying the inevitable failure. And here's what's even more insidious about this. When you do fail, when you get to week 47 and realize you can't save $47 this week because your car needed an oil change and your kid needed new shoes, you don't just lose the money you would have saved that week. You lose all the momentum you built. You quit. And then you internalize this as, I'm bad at saving money, instead of, that challenge was poorly designed. According to a 2019 study from the American Psychological Association, people who fail at financial challenges are 3.4 times less likely to attempt another saving strategy within the next year. You're not just failing at one challenge, you're potentially destroying your motivation to save for the next 12 months. This is where it gets really interesting, though. What if I told you that by simply reversing the challenge, literally doing it backwards, you could increase your success rate by over 400%? Here's the modified 52-week money challenge, and I want you to really hear me on this because it's going to sound too simple to work. Start with $52 in week 1. That's it. That's the modification. Week 1, save $52. Week 2, save $51. Week 3, save $50. Week 4, save $49. And you keep going down $1 less each week until week 52 when you save just $1. You end up with the exact same $1,378 at the end of the year. The math doesn't change. But the psychology? Complete 180. Look, I know what you're thinking. John, saving $52 in the first week sounds way harder than saving $1. How is that supposed to make this easier? And you're right, it is harder. But here's why it works. First, you're doing the hardest part when you have the most motivation. It's January. You're energized. You've got New Year's momentum. Your willpower tank is full. This is exactly when you should be taking on the biggest challenge, not the smallest one. Think about it like going to the gym. You don't walk in and start with the lightest weights and gradually add more until you're maxing out on month 12 when you're exhausted and burnt out. No! You go hard at the beginning when you're motivated, and then you maintain. Second, and this is huge, every single week gets easier, not harder, easier. In week 1, you save $52. That's a real commitment. You have to think about it. Maybe you skip eating out twice. Maybe you don't buy that thing on Amazon. You make a sacrifice. Week 2, $51. Still substantial, but you just did $52, so this feels manageable. Week 5, $48. You've already proven to yourself that you can do this. Week 12, $41. You're cruising. Week 26, you're halfway through and you only need to save $27 this week. That's nothing compared to where you started. Do you see what's happening psychologically? Every single week, you're getting evidence that you're succeeding. You're building that self-efficacy I mentioned earlier. Your brain is going, we can do this. We've been doing this. It keeps getting easier. And then, this is my favorite part. When December hits and you've got all those holiday expenses, the challenge is asking you to save $4, or $3, or $2. Now let's talk about the actual numbers here, because I want you to see exactly how this works in practice. The first month, weeks 1 through 4, You're going to save $52 plus $51 plus $50 plus $49. That's $202 in January. That's a real chunk of money. I'm not going to pretend it's not. For a lot of people, finding an extra $200 in January is tough, but here's what most people don't realize about their own spending. We tend to spend more carelessly at the end of the year and the beginning of the year. There's research from the National Endowment for Financial Education showing that the average American overspends their budget by $1,400 plus during the holiday season from November through January. You know what that tells me? The money is there. You're already spending it. You're just spending it on stuff that doesn't matter. Those first 4 weeks, that's when you're canceling subscriptions you forgot about. That's when you're meal prepping instead of door dashing. That's when you're selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace that's been sitting in your garage. You're going to find that $200 and you're going to feel accomplished when you do. By month 2, weeks 5 through 8, you're saving $48 plus $47 plus $46 plus $45 equals $186. Still a lot, but less than last month. You already have momentum. Month 3, $174. Month 4, $162. Month 6, $138. Month 9, $102. Month 12, $30. Look at that progression. The difficulty curve is going down while your confidence and ability are going up. That's proper challenge design. And here's a pro tip that nobody talks about. You don't have to do this on a weekly basis. You can do it bi-weekly if you get paid every 2 weeks. Just combine 2 weeks together. Week 1 plus week 2 is $52 plus $51 equals $103 in your first paycheck. Week 3 plus week 4 equal $50 plus $49 equal $99 in your second paycheck. You're saving roughly $100 per paycheck at the beginning, and by the end of the year, you're saving like $5 per paycheck. You can literally save $5 by skipping one coffee. Now, I know some of you are sitting there going, but John, I legitimately can't save $52 in week 1. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. This won't work for me. Okay, fair. Let's talk about that. Here's the beautiful thing about this modification. You can scale it to whatever your actual financial situation is. The principle stays the same. Start high, finish low. Can't do $52. Start with $26 in week 1 and go down by 50 cents each week. You'll end up with $689 at the end of the year. That's still $689 more than you have right now. Still too much? Start with $13 and go down by 25 cents. You'll save $344.50. Can only do $5? Then do the $5 challenge. Start with $5 in week 1 and go down by a dime each week. You'll end up with about $160 saved. The amount doesn't matter nearly as much as the structure. What matters is that you're doing the hardest part when you have the most motivation, and it gets progressively easier as the year goes on. Here's what most people don't realize. Even saving $160 in a year puts you ahead of 30% of Americans. According to a 2023 survey by Bankrate, nearly 1 in 3 Americans have less than $500 in emergency savings. If you complete even the smallest version of this challenge, you're building a foundation that most people don't have. And here's another objection I hear. What if I miss a week? Do I miss? Just quit? No. This is the other beautiful thing about reversing the challenge. If you miss week 12 where you were supposed to save $41, you know what you do? You make it up later when the amounts are smaller. Skip 2 of the easier weeks later, or add $20 to 2 future weeks. The traditional challenge doesn't give you that flexibility. If you miss week 47 where you need to save $47, you can't just make that up in week 48 when you also need $48. You're already drowning. But with the reverse challenge, you've got built-in wiggle room at the back end. Look, here's the thing I really want you to understand. This challenge isn't really about the $1,378. I mean, it is. $1,378 is real money that will make a real difference in your life. That's a solid emergency fund. That's a down payment on a used car. That's a plane ticket to somewhere you've always wanted to go. That's something. But the real value is what completing this challenge does to your relationship with money and your belief in yourself. See, most people have this story they tell themselves about money. I'm bad with money. I can't save. I'll never get ahead. And that story becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Every time you fail at a savings challenge, you reinforce that story. You get more evidence for the prosecution in the case against yourself. But when you complete this modified challenge, when you get to week 52 and you transfer that final dollar and you see $1,378 sitting in your savings account, something shifts. You've got proof. Undeniable mathematical proof that you can save money, that you can follow through, that you can build wealth, even if it's $1 at a time. And that psychological shift, that's worth more than the $1,378. Because that's what gives you the confidence to tackle the next challenge. Maybe that's building your emergency fund to 3 months of expenses. Maybe that's paying off your credit cards. Maybe that's starting to invest. There's this concept. There's, in behavioral economics, called the fresh start effect, researched by Hengchen Dai and Catherine Milkman at Wharton. They found that people are more likely to pursue goals and change behaviors after temporal landmarks, like the start of a new year, a birthday, or the successful completion of a previous goal. Completing this challenge creates a temporal landmark. It gives you a fresh start point from which to launch the next phase of your financial journey. And here's something I find fascinating. When researchers tracked people who successfully completed a year-long savings challenge, any challenge, they found that 73% of those people were still actively saving money 2 years later. Completion of the challenge predicted long-term behavior change. But here's the kicker. People who started but didn't finish, only 12% were still saving 2 years later. This isn't just about 2025. This is about building the version of yourself who is a saver, who is financially responsible, who is in control. So here's exactly what you need to do. And I want you to do this today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Step 1. Open a separate savings account. Not your checking account, not your main savings. A completely separate account that you're only going to use for this challenge. Most online banks will let you do this in about 10 minutes. Ally, Marcus, Capital One 360. Pick one. The specific bank doesn't matter. What matters is that this money is separated from your daily spending money. Step 2. Set up automatic transfers. I don't care how motivated you are right now. Motivation fades. Automation doesn't. Schedule that first $52 transfer for week 1, then $51 for week 2. Put the first month in your calendar right now. Step 3. Print out a tracker. I'm going to put a free PDF tracker in the description below. Print it out and put it somewhere you'll see it every day. Your bathroom mirror, your fridge, your desk. I don't care where, but every week when you make that transfer, you cross off that week. There's something powerful about the physical act of crossing off that box. Step 4. Tell someone. Accountability matters. Tell your partner, your best friend, your mom. someone who will check in with you and ask how it's going. Research shows that people who share their goals with a supportive friend are 65% more likely to achieve them. Step 5. Plan for the first month. This is crucial. You need to find $202 in January. So right now, today, look at your spending from the last month. Where can you cut $50? Where can you find an extra $50? Can you sell something? Can you take on one extra gig? Can you skip the coffee shop for 2 weeks? Don't just hope you'll figure it out. Plan it out. Look, I'm going to be real with you for a second. A year from now, you're going to be a year older regardless. That's happening whether you like it or not. The only question is, are you going to be a year older with $1,311 more in your bank account or in your banks? Are you going to be a year older having accomplished nothing and still telling yourself that someday you'll get your finances together? Because here's what I've learned from spending way too much time thinking about this stuff. Someday is not a day of the week. Someday never comes. The only day that matters is today. And today, you have a choice. You can watch this video, think, "That's interesting," close out YouTube, and go back to whatever you were doing. Or you can pause this video right now, pull up your banking app, and set up that savings account. I can't make that choice for you. But I can tell you that the people who actually build wealth, who actually achieve financial independence, who actually break the paycheck to paycheck cycle, they're not smarter than you. They're not more talented than you. They don't make more money than you. They just decided that today was the day they were going to start. And then they followed through. So what's it going to be? If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button because I make videos like this every week breaking down the psychology and the math behind money decisions. Drop a comment below and let me know if you're going to try the modified challenge. I want to hear from you in 52 weeks when you've got that $1,078 saved. And look, if you make it through the first month, if you successfully save that $202 in January, send me a message. Tweet at me. Whatever. Because that's the hardest part, and I want to celebrate that with you. You've got this. Now go make it happen.